I don't know, man. Basically, I'm just a product of South Park and hardcore underground death rap. Hello, folks. Welcome to the weekly Rant. Do you guys want to hear something funny? The Daily Mail is stealing content from our show. Y'all remember? You remember last week, Mr. Maverick Bailey was kind enough to grace us with an amazing interview. And one of our topics of conversation, in fact, one of the main topics of our interview was Maverick's Mountain Dew conspiracy. And I just want to let the people at home get a chance to hear it from your mouth. What is the Mountain Dew conspiracy? And just, take the mic, run with it, brother.
Well, a lot of people don't realize when it comes to esoteric, things and logos, colors, things we see every day, right? Now, to the naked eye, it just seems like, it's just a logo, right, or it's just this or that. But they utilize these things because we see them every day and our subconscious picks them up. So with Mountain Dew, there's a lot of correlations with certain flavors and major events.
Well, literally the day after our episode aired, the Daily Mail came out with this article. You fucking kidding me? Now, it's been brought to my attention that Tracy Wright, the author of the Daily Mail's article, is actually friends with one of my Patreon members. Shout out Kim. Look at that. We got a Fox News affiliate and the Daily Mail affiliate. Tracy, since I reckon you're clearly a fan of the show, I'd like to extend an invite to you to come on next week as a guest and maybe cut us in on some of that Daily Mail ad revenue, you know what I'm saying? I'll even take money from Murdoch. We don't need them, do we, Tommy? We're doing just fine on our own. Hey, remember how I said Mark Carney and Donald J. Trump were probably buddies? Well, wouldn't you know it? I've just discovered some proof hiding in plain sight. In fact, it was a friend of the show was able to share this with me. Now, let's run it back, just so you guys fully understand. This is Brookfield, a massive global investment firm that specializes in lobbying against Canadian oil while simultaneously bulldozing thousands of acres of rainforest in the Amazon. Because the environment.
How dare you?
And this here is a giant douche. No, sorry, it's a turd sandwich. Whatever you want to call it. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a banker, so he's clearly not human. But this thing here is Mark Carney, and he's the Prime Minister of Canada, apparently. And last week, he took a hard line with Trump during their meeting in the White House with one of the most limp dick thumbs up I've ever seen in my life. Look at that thing. That thing's more limp than Kanye's Johnson during a BJ session with Kim Kardashian, am I right? Do you think Kanye ever banged Bruce Jenner? Anyways, yes, Carney struck a hard line stating that Canada will never be for sale. But what about 666 Fifth Avenue, Mark? Is that for sale, Mark? Or maybe I should just ask your buddy Jared Kushner. Yes, son-in-law to the president, Donald Trump, was one of the partners with Brookfield Investments, a company in which Mark Carney formerly worked for as a C-level executive with undeniable influence on their board of directors. Brookfield was working hand in hand with Jared Kushner in order to secure leasing of a prime piece of commercial real estate in downtown Manhattan. Basically, Brookfield bailed out the Qatari government by securing the lease through Kushner companies. And when I tell y'all the system is rigged, the game is rigged, it's a setup, your vote doesn't really matter, this is exactly the bullshit I'm talking about, fam. And now, it's a quick word from our sponsors, folks. Hey, are you guys sick of protein powders that leave your stomach all wrecked? you get the gut rot going. Well, I got good news for you. Native Path has got you covered. I just drank a shake, my first ever protein shake from Native Path about an hour and a half ago, and I have yet to have the stomach gurgle. I feel great. I feel energetic. I feel like I want to go lift some heavy stuff. Hit the link in bio. Use my promo. You're going to get 41% off a massive bag of protein powder. This is the good stuff. This is the all natural stuff. If you don't like it, you got 365 days to return it. Full refund. They're going to send you a shaker cup along with it, okay? It's like a top tier shaker cup. I'm not even kidding. And if that's not enough, we have free shipping in the US of A. So get on them today. They are a proud sponsor of the Weekly Rot, and we're happy to have them on board. Thank you, Native Path. And guys, go squat up. I'll see you in the gym. You can like do a double with the shaker. All right.
And now it's time for the rapid fire segment.
So one of Trump's advisors this week, Stephen Miller, a Homeland Security advisor, came out saying that Trump is mulling over suspending habeas corpus in America. Fuck. Start it again. Homeland Security advisor Stephen Miller came out this week saying that Donald J. Trump is considering suspending habeas corpus in order to speed up the deportation process. Should we be concerned that literally the last 3 out of 4 presidents have suspended habeas corpus in some form? Bush with the Patriot Act, Obama extending that Patriot Act, and now Trump mulling it over. I think the last guy to do it was literally Abraham Lincoln. So that's good. Good sign for my friends down in America. Please stay safe, folks. You know what? I'm sure it's fine. When's the government ever abused their power and infringed upon civil liberties in order to obtain more control over a population? Oh, wait. Shit, that's right. Every government ever. Yeah, shit. Okay. We're cooked. Hey, did you hear that the Russian military has a massive buildup along the Finnish border? But again, I'm sure that's fine. It's when's the last time this happened? It's some country called the Shmushkrain or something. Anyways, I don't think anything ever came of that. It's not like it was one of the longest running modern wars in, modern history or anything. But yeah, we got massive troop buildups along the Russian and Finland border. Stay tuned. Get ready. Buckle up. Did you hear about the P. Diddy victim who's gone missing? Now, unfortunately, because the victim chose to remain anonymous in the court documents, we only know her as victim 3. But the prosecution came out last week saying they've plumbed up and lost her. She's just gone. They have no idea if she's even going to be able to testify. Let's see if this happens any more times, because honestly, I know a lot of people that don't think Diddy's actually going to end up paying any cost for this. Or, he'll... How do I do this? Or he'll wind up, unalived in his cell while every security camera in the facility somehow shuts off at the exact moment that he unalives himself. You know how it goes. Did you know the LMFAO singer is a professional tennis player? And I just wanted to share that because I found that out this week and it blew my fucking mind. He's literally, the guy with the fro is now a professional tennis player. Party rocked? Do people listen to LMFAO anymore? I don't give a fuck. And lastly, in our rapid fire segment, Ben Shapiro has tiny little prepubescent puberty balls that haven't dropped yet. That's it. Thank you. And now it's a little segment I like to call Sitting with All the Old Folks Down at the local Timmy's, crushing a double-double, talking about taxes or some shit. It's the rant segment! Woo! Okay, my rant. What was I gonna do? There's nothing to start off a good rant like just me fucking twiddling my goddamn fingers. I don't know. Basically, all I gotta say is, all y'all listen, man. out of all the people that we've had beef with, like Kellerman, you know, I love you, Alex, but you know, let's be honest. Anyways, Ben Shapiro, Andrew Callahan, Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, fucking even I'll throw out Alex Jones. I challenge any one or all of you to a fucking debate, because I know all of you are too scared for the smoke. You don't want to debate the half-drunk content creator in a wrinkled suit sitting in a diamond storage locker facility boardroom shooting the best goddamn weekly news show. No, but you will steal my content, right? You will take my content, in which, let's be honest, like we make pennies on. We're just kind of getting the tires turning on proper sponsorship. It will take time. These massive media conglomerates with hundreds of millions at their disposal and thousands of staff, there's 3 of us here, by the way, that is my entire team. And my producer, it's his first day, he's actually been here. So what I'm trying to say is, you fucking parasites, you leeches, Daily Mail, Daily Wire, Info, you're all the same. Come on my show and debate me, or I'll come on your show. We can all come. Anyways, I think you guys know what's... And I guarantee you, fam, I guarantee you no one is going to take that challenge because they don't want the smoke. Because they don't know what I represent. Because the only thing I represent is... Tommy, cue the drum roll. You guys. You guys are the main producers of this show. You guys are the reason this show exists. I don't give a fuck what, Halliburton says. Or, I don't know, what's an environmental company? One of those dumb things. I don't care. I only care about y'all. And I think that's why none of these motherfuckers want the smoke. Hey, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. That's the rant. Alrighty, folks, here we go with another interview from a esteemed guest, fellow content creator, author, musician. Is there anything you don't do, Tyler? It's Base Forge from Instagram. I just want to ask you out the gate, is there anything you don't do? Because it's a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, I haven't dabbled in like the male stripping, none of that yet.
Oh.
So.
Okay,
Yeah.
segment coming soon. Maybe that's, we need to get down to America. We go take a couple classes in Vegas.
If I do, it's debuting on your channel, I'll tell you that.
Oh, yo, you guys heard that. You guys, Tommy, get that down. So wait, I have one specific question. What do I have to do to become a member of the Duck Squad Rave Clan?
So you're familiar with the rubber ducks?
Yeah.
So we have a totem when we go to raves, and it's a giant rubber duck, and he has a butt flap, and you open his butt flap, and everyone that walks by puts a little rubber ducky into the big rubber ducky, and so that's your initiation.
That's actually, yeah. Okay, sign me up. Guys, we need a duck costume, Tommy, for next week. So what's the best rave to go to? Like, what's your favorite rave? I know there's like a whole circuit, a life unbeknownst to me, to squares like me. But yeah, where should I start?
You want to go ahead first? Anything Insomniac, EDC. We play Escape Halloween in Cali every year, so that one's pretty fun. But
hell yeah,
yeah. It's not for the faint of heart. Maybe start small, work your way up.
Well, listen, me and Molly aren't necessarily strangers, Tyler, if you know what I'm saying. Allegedly.
You'll fit in just fine.
All right, we're in. So we have you on the show. The timing works out really well. You just published a brand new book. You're an author of 3 novels that I've seen, and maybe more that I haven't seen. But it's the Cryptex, available now, Tyler?
Yes.
Is that? Yes. Okay. Where can people find it?
My website, mostly I try and keep it as as tight as possible. I know people want physical copies. They're on Amazon, but on my website, I put those out there so people can print them at home if they don't want to support big publishers or anything like that. I'm totally cool with that. This one is a kind of a amalgamation of everything that I've posted so far or written so far. I wanted to make it kind of like you just grab this book and you can kind of enter my world. So that one's Cryptex. The one previously was all about sacred geometry and how that scientifically connects to like all aspects of reality. So kind of trying to bridge the spiritual scientific gap a little bit with every book, and this one, this latest one, is
I love that you said that, actually, because honestly, brother, and this is a new train of thought that I've come to over the last 5 years, ever since that little random thing happened there in 2020. We're not allowed to say the word here on YouTube, but schmovid. Anyways, you know, people were saying at that time, trust the science, right? And I couldn't help but be like, isn't that just become like a religion then, right? Because if you're just putting blind faith in something without fully understanding it or grasping it, then is science the new religion, Tyler?
I think it's people kind of manipulating it like they used to with religion too. If you're the only gateway into divine knowledge, then you had all that control, right? So if you're the only gateway into, you know, the knowledge of today, then you're in the same position the clergy was 1,000 years ago, where you're ruling with your not necessarily an iron fist, but like you have to know the language of science, you have to know the language of mathematics to really be able to sit at the table and argue with the people that have all the power. So there's no one really doing that from another perspective. And I have my degrees in computer engineering, and I was an audio engineer, and I have a lot of background in, you know, the scientific vocabulary. So I feel like that kind of meshes really well with a lot of people when they're looking for a better explanation for the spiritual concepts, and one that's not, you know, maybe tainted by whoever's funding the scientific study. So I try and provide like as many viewpoints as possible. Like I have my personal beliefs, but I try and be as centered as I can, or while not pissing everybody off, you know.
That's fun. I would love to try that sometime. I'm the exact opposite. I piss everyone off every day. I have the left mad, I have the right mad at me, and that's how I know I'm doing something right.
The world needs people like you.
I appreciate that, brother. Sincerely, we appreciate that here. So listen, let's tie it all together. So 2 of the very first videos I saw about you from your channel was the pyramids megastructure, right? And the flower of life symbols that the G5 is now creating, thanks to all the repeaters. Yeah, the network. I'm going to let you pick which one. I would love you to just dissect those things and just get into it for my people that may not be privy to some of these things. What did they find under the pyramids?
So I was just there in February, and we were.
Oh no shit! Okay.
Yeah, we were out there. We were on the plateau. We were, you know, running around exploring all the caves and tunnels and stuff out there, because that's what I was interested in. I really wanted to see, like, you get a good view of it when you go, of like everything above ground, but like 90% of Giza is below ground. Like there's so much that's unexcavated, even from the satellite views. There's so much that you don't see. That's you just need a shovel, and you could find some new stuff. But you know, the government is very like clamped down there. It's very hard to do anything. And that's why this new study came out, is because it was completely unsanctioned by that government, and it didn't need permission because they used a satellite. Right. So the argument here is like that it wasn't as accurate because there wasn't boots on the ground, but the guys that are actually doing this that have this technology have been doing it for, you know, 10 years now of making a way for us to be able to see this stuff without having the express written permission of every government that's trying to clamp down on these narratives, in my opinion.
Sure.
So that the world can know what's actually going on there. Because if you go to Egypt, the first thing that you notice is there's so much more than you ever thought was there, and without the proper context, it just looks like, you know, whatever they tell you is the correct story. But when you dig a little bit deeper, literally and metaphorically, you start seeing that there's stuff that you can't really explain, right? Like, for example, walking up to the Giza Plateau, there's a causeway, and the causeway is this big. It's huge. It's super wide, and it's actually hollow. So it's a walkway up to the pyramid, and underneath it is a chamber that you can walk through. So when the Nile was at a much lower level, it would rise and sink, right? There was a tunnel that you could go through that would walk you straight up to the middle pyramid, to Khafre, the one that they scanned. And so along that causeway are these massive shafts that are, you know, maybe 10 by 10 meters wide, huge shafts that go deep down into the ground. So saying that there's a shaft underneath there is not completely out of the question. They're all over the Giza Plateau, all the way in Saqqara, everywhere around there. So saying that it's completely outlandish that there's something under there that's maybe deep, I don't think there's any valid claim to that. I think we do need to investigate it. Is it 600 feet deep? I have no idea. I'm not an expert in their technology. I know that they've worked really hard on it, but as far as I know, I would say there's probably something under there, but we need to take a look. We need to get something.
I think it's time we crack the shovels out, my friend, and it has been an interesting thing to watch because I saw your video on it. I made a video that same week about the scan they did with the radio waves beneath the pyramid, and like the pushback on it makes me inclined to believe that it's fucking actually 100% true. Now,
it reminded me of a dude that like cheated on his girl, and then she calls him out, and he gets like super defensive. He's like, "I would never do that to you."
Gaslighting at its finest, my friend. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now, so let me just hit you with the sentence, and I want to know how it tastes, how it marinates, how it marinates with you, my friend. The pyramids were power plants built before the Younger Dryas. What do you think of that sentence right there?
I'm leaning more towards that. Yeah, I mean, if you follow me or read my stuff, you'll probably get that too. But I try not to like say this is exactly what they're for, because when you dive into the Egyptian way of thinking, then you'll understand that even hieroglyphs have like 7 meanings to one little section of a wall. You can interpret it philosophically, scientifically, or any way that you can think of. They didn't put anything in the walls without having 7+ meanings to it. So could it have been used for power? Yeah, I think that it could have, but for like my personal belief, I think it had more to do with consciousness, which you have to have energy for consciousness. Our bodies are creating energy, so much energy every fucking second, just so we can like process things, right? Yeah. So saying that they're power plants, maybe but not in the way that we're thinking about it, like what we use it. Maybe it was to enhance the human conscious abilities through that energy as well. So multifaceted approach to it, I think, is the best way to look at this without being like they were absolutely power plants or they're absolutely chemical factories or whatever. They were most likely multifunctional with a facility that large.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's like anyone that tells you they know something for sure right now is definitely lying. Like if you 100%. if you say I know this is a fact with something like that now, I'm like, no, you don't. You've instantly discredited yourself.
That's the beauty of the internet today, too.
Oh yeah,
it's
I know, right? A lot of fucking experts out there, eh? Oh boy. So I mean, it's that's a great way to think of it, and it's a perfect segue. The pyramids could have also been built, and this is a new one for me. I'm curious if you heard this one, to protect us from large plasma monsters, which will emerge when the magnetic poles shift. Have you gone down that one? I'll send you something.
I've gone down a few of those. Yeah, I do think there is something with plasma. I touch on that in the book as well. That plasma does behave like a sentient creature sometimes.
Yes.
And there's been, I think I reposted something that said that they're studying if the sun is conscious, which is exactly what the Egyptians said, right? That it was actual conscious being, like a giant organism. So the way that they viewed that was in the Egyptian like paradigm is the celestial bodies. They weren't necessarily like we project this image of that they use them as gods, or that they depicted them as gods.
Sure.
And the real, and if you talk to anyone in Egypt, they were saying that they were more forces of nature. So like each god represented a force of nature, like some aspect of nature. Right. And then the sun was a primary deity, like our sun was a primary deity, because it gave the ability for every other thing, all these other deities that controlled an aspect of nature, it made it possible for them to exist. So there's this weird like connection with plasma, because obviously the sun is plasma and the universe, our observable universe, is 99% plasma. So saying that these plasma beings were part of it, I don't think is too far fetched. Again, like I'm never saying anything's off the table, but even NASA admits that plasma behaves like a sentient creature. They've done studies on this, and it's very weird. And I think we'll find out a lot about that in the coming years, but I think it should be definitely considered in the whole, structure of Giza and what they were doing, that there was something going on with it,
Something more than that we weren't taught in our history classes. That's for damn sure, my friend. It's almost talking about the sun in that way. It actually reminds me of Canadian Indigenous beliefs. Frankly, it's actually kind of. I've never noticed that symmetry between the two cultures, but there you go. And I've always said I think the Indigenous culture here might be closer than most religions to what is actually maybe the things we should be focusing on. You know what I'm saying?
Well, when you look at it too, it's like did they actually have the vocabulary to accurately describe what they believed? Because back then it's so much restricted. Like every culture had language, right?
Yeah.
But ours is very precise. English is designed to be as precise as possible for descriptive purposes. Other languages were more symbolic, and they encompass, one word encompassed an entire belief system. So speaking in very few words, being translated by people who just landed on the shores of that place isn't really that accurate to me. So one of my big things is I focus on looking at etymology, where words come from and how they're used. And if you follow that back long enough, you'll start to notice that all of these things get linked together. At the end of the road, they're all linked by the same concept, whether that's a solar deity or nature gods or whatever. They all tend to go back to the same stuff, just different words.
Yeah, fun fact, English language actually was designed to be able to politically manipulate people as well. I learned that in a linguistics course in university. So shout out English language, baby. That's why there's so many different ways to say the same damn thing. It's like, we bombed this fucking child school hospital. It's like collateral damage was incurred during our march for peace and freedom. Put that on a fucking t-shirt, Schroeder. Sorry. Okay. All right. So listen. So we've gone through. We kind of. I knew this was going to happen with this interview. That's why I was excited to have you on, Tyler. But we're kind of all over the place. Let's bring it back now. So you're talking about kind of going down the path of frequencies there, talking about consciousness. What is going on with this vast world of radio waves we find ourselves? I'm talking about telecommunication waves. I'm talking about 5G networks. And what do you make of the fact, and I'll actually get my producer to put it up here, but the fact that we're creating through radio waves now, or maybe that's not the right term, maybe you can correct me there if I'm wrong, but through these waves, we have created the circle of life in an artificial way. Do you think this is a good thing moving forward? What is happening with our frequencies and consciousness right now with all these things coming together?
That's a big question.
Yes, sir.
I think that this isn't necessarily a good or bad thing. I think it's an inevitable step in any in any species evolution, is they're going to encounter these problems, because once you start taking the invisible world and making it visible in terms of the electromagnetic spectrum and manipulating that's no different than magic. That's no different than you manipulating these invisible things. That's what wizards do. So I think it's an inevitable step in our evolution, and I don't think we fully understand the long-term effects of it, which is kind of scary. But at the same time, I don't think that in the future we're going to be able to survive a lot of the stuff that is most likely going to come our way without harnessing this knowledge. So is it good for the species right now? Probably not, in terms of health. Will we figure it out? Well, we have AI now, so hopefully we figure out a way to, develop some sort of resonance-based technology to realign, things that we do mess up while we're developing this technology. So there's a new study that came out, I think it's like a couple days ago actually, that was saying that DNA responds in electromagnetic fields 10 times faster than like computers do. So like it takes a broad spectrum and it analyzes the environment, and then it responds to the environment like orders of magnitude faster than like our fastest computers can. So what is that doing? I don't know if we even have the capabilities to study, is this molecule reacting to this frequency and what is it doing turning on and off? Right. It's such a broad thing, and we're just kind of like brute forcing everything right now in the name of convenience. Sure. That I think we will probably encounter some issues, but hopefully someone employs AI or some model to solve these problems and, kind of like level the playing field. That's my perspective on it. But if you understand, vibration and how it works, and, amplification or neutralization and all these concepts that are like acoustic concepts, that's what I love. Sure. Cymatics and everything, because it's such a good way to show what's actually happening in this world. If you understand that, then it becomes a little less scary and a little more approachable to the average everyday person. That's what I try and communicate in my videos.
Yes. Brought to you by convenience and capitalism, eh? Gotta love that combo. It's interesting. The DNA, they can actually, it's been shown that they can actually install computer viruses into our DNA genomes. And I don't even understand how that makes sense, Tyler, if I'm being frank with you. But I'm starting to worry that we're just computers, frankly. But yes, my man knows for a fact that the German bells are not ringing anymore ever since World War II ended. And I'm sure you delve into that at some point in one of your books. So, listen, man. I know we're over already. Tommy, sorry, just a sec. Tommy, what's our time at right now?
Getting in trouble.
Just under 20? Okay, that's good. Ty, I'm going to do this at the gate, by the way. I forgot to do this. This will be at the very start of the interview, so just pretend like we're just at the start, okay? All right, my friends. The artist, who I think his name is Tyler, I'm joined with today. My producer had to search for 10 minutes to find your name. Is that your real name, Tyler?
It is my government name, yes.
Nailed it. Yo, CIA. If you're looking
on the internet now.
I am looking for some extra work. CIA. I found his name, guys. Come on, hire me. All right. There we go. Now I got one more question. It's kind of goofy, but this will be a good clip. Yeah. By the way, I'll over the next week I'll clip these up, and then I'll invite you to collab on a couple of them if you're down for that, and we'll juice the accounts. Okay, I got two more. You got time for two more, my friend?
All right, you got all the time in the world, man.
Beautiful. All right, my friend. So I saw a video you posted. I think it was yesterday, but it was last week. A Burmese, the earthquake in Burma. I just want to know what you think about what they've discovered. And I mean, this kind of goes back to what you were saying. There's things under the pyramids hidden beneath the dirt, and evidently there are things in Burma hidden beneath the dirt. What did they find in Burma after the earthquake?
So they think they found what they're calling a palace. So like a dwelling, not necessarily a temple, but it was a dwelling. But the weird thing is, from what I can tell of the pictures, it looks pretty monolithic, or at least it looks like it's using some really big stones. Which checks out because, Burma, Myanmar now was a really, really, really big ancient hotspot. Like the pagodas and everything. Beautiful, beautiful place. But like everywhere in the world, there seems to have been something that swallowed up about half of it. And now we're digging it out from literally every place that we can possibly find. So I think that there's a good case to be made from this, that we're not digging far enough. And I think there's a lack of technology that's exposing things, because you could be walking down the street and there could be something, 60 feet below you that whether it's a fossil or a pottery shard or a building, you don't really know, especially in, places like America that got absolutely ravaged at the end of the Ice Age, So I think there's a really good case to be made of not necessarily like funneling more resources into excavations there, but funneling more resources into technology that can strip away the layers that we really can't see, and being able to do that at scale, because that's going to give us a bigger, broader picture, like what they're doing in Guatemala. Like they've discovered, I think it's almost upwards of 400,000 structures now in Guatemala that are just really, they're almost impossible to excavate because of the density of the jungle. But now that we can see underneath it, we don't have to go there. You know, we don't have to get permission from the government to go dig this pyramid out, because we can just see it. So I think that Burma and these countries that have a lot of this ancient architecture are still not necessarily intentionally hiding, but the ground itself is hiding such a bigger story than we know. And I think that's why it's so on the front of people's minds right now, is because we didn't know that this stuff existed. We didn't know this story was going on while we're just going about our everyday lives. Like, you know, everything's cool. It seems to be something that I think all of humanity should be behind. Like, let's figure this out, you know?
Let's find out our actual history. God, a lot of people, that's too much. That's too much for a lot of people to fucking digest. We're working, well, one person at a time, I guess.
Baby steps.
Baby steps, my friend. Baby steps. One fucking little pebble of dirt at a time, apparently. So listen, I saw this really kind of, it was profound, provocative video you did about the miracle of life, so to speak. What are the odds that I beat my little brothers and sisters in that first race I ever had in my life? What was the odds there?
It used to be 1 in 400 trillion, but they upped it in recent times to 1 in 400 quadrillion, which they're factoring in. So like the 1 in 400 trillion is the you beat everybody statistic, but the 1 in 400 quadrillion is the chance of you just existing in the universe at all. Jesus, like life, you inhabiting this person on this planet, doing all of this stuff, is that statistic, which is a mind-blowing number.
It is, Tyler, it is mind-blowing, and I wish someone would have told me during the race that my prize would be existence, because I probably would have finished second if I knew that. But having said that, you did this kind of beautiful breakdown of there's even geometry taking place in the womb, and I'm just curious, what's taking place in the sock beside my bed where some of my soldiers have ended up? Is there any beauty in the sock?
So there's this concept of light and darkness, and so that's like the dark, chaotic side of things, and you know, the other side, the life part, is like the nice light geometry. So
so I'm sending those soldiers right into the darkness. It's the heart of darkness.
Yeah. Okay. We can get way deeper on that, but you might want to put a parental advisory on the on the video.
You know what? We'll save that for part 2, because I definitely want to talk to you again, my friend. Listen, Tyler, Thank you for coming on. Baseforge.us on Instagram. Get his books if you guys want to know more about some of these concepts we talked about here today. And my man Tyler goes much deeper. He's a much more intelligent man than I. Tyler, is there anything else you want to say before we close out?
Thank you so much for having me on here. And, you know, everyone, just keep an open mind, man. Be cool, keep an open mind.
Hell yeah. Yo, we're hitting a rave together, bro. Just so you know, that's going to happen.
Anytime. Hit me up, man.
Thank you, brother. Take care.
Thank you.
Well, folks, it's another week in the trenches. Congratulations. I'd just like to reiterate, you know, because my producers are making me. We are not journalists. This isn't news. It's satire, parody, and nonsense. Any resemblance to reality is accidental, exaggerated, or just plain made up. Viewer discretion and a sense of humor is advised. And why don't you go and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. As always, we'll see you again next week, and it's been a pleasure serving you. No, it hasn't. It's been a fucking nightmare. Tommy, we'll talk to you next week.